ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ. ಇಂದಿನ ಶುಭಕೃತ ಸಂವತ್ಸರದ ಯುಗಾದಿಯ ಹಬ್ಬದ ದಿನದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಡಿಬೇಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅಂಡ್ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅನ್ನ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ. ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಆರಂಭವಾಗೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾನು ಮತ್ತು ಸುದರ್ಶನ್ ನಮ್ಮ ನವೋದಯ ಕನ್ನಡ ಕೂಟ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಯೂತ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತೇವೆ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಸ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ಪಾಸಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಟನ್ ಟು ಅಸ್. It has been a real wonderful opportunity for us to support Namma youth members illi, and one of their first feedbacks was to conduct a debate event that they all enjoyed very much last year. And Namma Indina President Ada Ranjan Aurunu wanted us to do this debate event. So Ranjan, please say a few words Namma Kannada Kuta members ke.
Okay, thank you Sandeep. Namaskara. ನವೋದಯ ಕನ್ನಡ ಕೂಟದ ಡಿಬೇಟ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ನಾನು ರಂಜನ್ ಹೆಗ್ಡೆ, ಪ್ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ನವೋದಯ ಕನ್ನಡ ಕೂಟ. ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಯುಗಾದಿ ಹಬ್ಬದ ಹಾರ್ದಿಕ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ವೀಕ್ಷಕರನ್ನು, ಪೋಷಕರನ್ನು, ಯುವ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ಜಡ್ಜಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾನು ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸಲು ಬಯಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. As some of you know, this is the second year we are conducting this event. Actually, the planning and preparation for this event started in early January. This is the culmination of that effort. Let's get this across the finish line. Have a great debate, great conversation, and have fun. And more importantly, don't worry about winning or losing. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಆಡಿಯೋ ಮತ್ತು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಸಂಯೋಜನೆಯನ್ನ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ಹೊಸಮನೆ ಅವರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಮಾಡರೇಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ್ ಶಂಕರನ್ ಅವರು ಕಾರ್ಯನಿರ್ವಹಿಸಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂದಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದಂತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಾಬೀಸ್ ಸಮಿತಿಯ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರಾದ ಸಂದೀಪ್ ಸದಾಶಿವ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸುದರ್ಶನ್ ಬಾಬು ಅವರು ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Without further ado, I would like to hand over my virtual mic to Dr. Sandeep Sadashiv, our Youth Committee Director. Sandeep, over to you.
Dhanyawad Ranjan, and thank you for those supporting and encouraging words Namma Youth Game. And yes, navella let's enjoy Namma Youth the Zabardast debate event. But before I go on, just want to introduce you the youth committee. Now Sudarshan and me, we took it on, and this is great that we were able to start Namma youth debate event on such a good auspicious date today. But it doesn't end there. Nale team Ritvik Sindhya and the other youths are going to Mitzvah Circle to volunteer. Following week, Dhaval and his team of youths are volunteering at the Cradles to Crayon. So we have a busy April, and the youths are all taking leads and leading the path. So moving onwards, let's start the debate, and I would want to introduce Namma Indina Karyakramada judges. First of all, I want to invite Bhimbhat, dearly known as Bhimanna to many of us. Namaskara Bhimanna avre. Thank you for joining us, and for the second time in a row supporting Namma youth community here at this debate event. Bhimanna avru was born in Vittala, Puttur in Dakshina Kannada, and has been in US longer than many of us here among our senior members of the NKK. Our NKK onde alla halavaru illiro Kuta Sanghaಗಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ he is involved, volunteers, and supports cultural activity and programs. Aim for Seva, Hindus Swayam Sangha, Swayam Sevak Sangha, sorry, Struti Music and Dance Academy, School of Philadelphia are just a few to name. His passion is to support the youth, and he is involved in not just volunteering, but participating and judging at the science events. And thank you for joining us, Ivattu, for the Namma Youth, the debate event again. Next, I want to invite 4 other young adults. I call them young adults because just not too long ago, they were our youth members. And it is great pleasure to bring back some of Namma Kannada Kuta, the youth, back into our family, even if they have moved away or are with us. But here they are with us today to support Namma youth and judge them. So Rashmi Sagaram, welcome you. Thanks, Rashmi, for volunteering and joining us. Rashmi works in healthcare management, and with her most recent role, she works in a New York company advisory investment firm. She graduated from master's from Columbia University and earned her bachelor's from the University of Pittsburgh. I know she loves to travel, but she also is very excited to be here today and judge the debate event. Thanks, Rashmi. Next, I want to call upon Anup Bhatt. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಕನ್ನಡ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದೀವಿ Anup Bhatt performing with his family, but here today he's a young adult who is graduating from the Carnegie Mellon University and will be starting his PhD there. He enjoys reading, playing piano, and enjoys controlling robots that float through water and space. Welcome, Anup. Next, I want to call upon Pranav Keshav, who is currently a senior at Penn State University, but he is seen the birth of this Kannada Kuta and the youth committee right at his doorsteps. So Pranav has been part of this community for as long as this community has been, and he's currently studying, let me get it right, Pranav, he's studying data sciences and will soon be moving locally to Philadelphia. So we are waiting for you to join and come back to Philadelphia. He loves playing basketball and photography, and welcome, Pranav. Finally, I want to call upon Himavat Joyce. Again, he is also a youth, ex-youth member of our youth committee, and he's a young adult who has also seen the birth of this Kannada Kuta and the youth committee at his doorsteps. Himavat is, again, I want to get it right, he is doing his first year PhD fellow at fellowship at University of Illinois Urbana in Champaign. He studies aerospace engineering with a focus of environmentally friendly aviation technologies. So we have some expert judge here today to judge our debate event. He is again a multi-talented individual, and I have been fortunate to share the stage with him in one of the singing events in a local Kannada Sammelana in New Jersey. And again, thanks Himavat for joining us and volunteering to support our youth here today. Thanks to all the judges. Next, I want to call upon Sriram Shankar, now without whom this event would have not come to our Kuta. I can go on for the next 30 minutes, but I will spare Sriram and all of us some unpleasantness or uncomfortableness, but I just want to put 2 sentences to just his efforts. If you are with the company or association of Sriram, you are not going to sit in one place. You are going to be, he'll make sure you're up on your toes. He is full of thoughts and activities that he pulls out of his bag and gets everybody around him inspired and motivated to do things. He brought chess and many other activities to Namakuta, and he moderated the first debate event at Kannada Kuta, and here he is kindly encouraging our youth to continue that because of all their positive feedback. And he's here again today to conduct this event for us. Thanks, Sriram. And I will pass on the stage to you now.
Here. Perfect. New introduction ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಮುಗಿಸೋಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಯಿತು, ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಮೇಸಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಸೊ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್. ನಾನು ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ್ ಸಂಕರನ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಸಂದೀಪ್ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸುಮಾರು, ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಆನ್ ವಿತ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಬಟ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ಡಿಬೇಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಟುನೈಟ್, ರೈಟ್? I'm sure all the kids are already bored with the introductions. We'll start with the debate. The topic for tonight is the government of United States of America has the means and resources to focus on conserving one and only one of the following three natural resources: water, air, or soil. It's amazing debate topic. This is a three-way debate topic. So what Sandeep and Sudarshan forgot to mention is this idea was proposed by Sandeep and Sudarshan. The three-way debate, it's amazing because debate is usually conducted with just two debates, two teams, one supporting the topic and the other one opposing, alva. But this three-way debate topic was proposed and I really immediately liked it. And topic no chanagi adanna discuss maadi within the kids, this particular topic was selected and I liked it actually. So let's get started now, guys. The rules for the debate, very simple. Rebuttal time bandbuttu nimge after the each speaker speaks you get 30 minutes. Q&A time irutte that time. There are 5 speakers per team, and then the timekeeper is again for tonight, it's Sandeep Sadashiv, who will be monitoring the beginning and end, and then 2 minutes one the play card, 3 minutes one play card. I'm sure he will be showing it to us. Then during this debate itself, only moderator will be allowed to interrupt the speakers and ask questions. Judges are allowed to send questions directly to the moderator during the debate. However, at the end, during rebuttal, judges will have the ability to unmute themselves and pose a question directly to the speaker. Like I said, again, I'll reiterate, each speaker is expected to speak at least 2 minutes. If not, then they will probably lose some points. Again, just a quick reminder, as the debate is being held on Zoom, which is, it's out of our hands, Alva. There's going to be some technical difficulties. We've already seen some. So please be patient. We'll do our best. With that, I would like to invite our first round of debaters. So first round of debaters are basically Nidhi, Gayatri, Gumaste, and Manya Natakala. But first, Nidhi Chayanendra will start the debate. Nidhi, take it away.
So, a drop of water is all a thirsty man needs. Hello, everyone. We are Team Jala. Before I start my own speech, I will quickly outline our speech and our speakers. I'm the first speaker, Nidhi, and I will be talking about the environmental benefits of conserving water. The second speaker will be Vedika, and she will be talking about how conserving water will benefit health. The third speaker will be Gautam, talking about the industrial and transportational benefits of conserving water. The fourth speaker, Sana, will talk about sea life as well as the economic benefits of conserving water. Our final speaker and co-captain of this team, Devil, will summarize our points and go over some methods of conserving water. Nanu Iga Indana Mate ಪರಿಸರದ ಮೇಲೆ ನೀರಿನ ಪ್ರಭಾವದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. First of all, conserving water means that we won't need to divert as many bodies of water via dams, canals, etc. When we divert water through dams and canals, we can end up harming our environment. One of the risks is habitat fragmentation, which is the process of turning a big habitat into a couple of smaller ones that are separate from each other and do not resemble the original habitat at all. This can lead to a lack of biodiversity. Without biodiversity, our Earth's order will be disruptive. I'm sure you've heard about how food webs and food chains and how losing one can catastrophically affect the others. In fact, in the rivers of India, such as the Ganga River, many river dolphins have been affected by the construction of dams. By conserving water, we can try and avoid situations like this in the future. Now, secondly, water is required to grow all of the plants in the world. Even desert plants, like cacti, will need water. However, plants can grow in rocky places like mountains. And now, scientists are finding ways to grow plants without soil. This is called hydroponics. In fact, plants that grow hydroponically grow faster, so you can still grow plants without soil. Plus, without water, plants wouldn't be able to do their normal plant activities, including photosynthesis, which is the process of turning sunlight and carbon dioxide into food for the plant. One of the byproducts of respiration is the oxygen that humans breathe. If we chose not to conserve water, we would be losing oxygen, and this could lead to a lot of problems. And finally, while wind power is one of the most used energy sources, the most effective windmills are those that are placed on oceans because the winds on the ocean are very strong. They can end up being 3 times more effective than land windmills. And so therefore, this shows how water is important. And based off all of these points, I believe that it is more important to conserve water than soil or air. Thank you, and I concede the rest of my time.
Thank you, Nidhi. A very strong opening for your team. I'm sure your teammates are happy. We'll call the second speaker of the round 1, which is Arushi. Arushi, it's all yours.
Hi, I think there's been some technical difficulties, but I'm ready to start whenever.
That's fine. You guys can decide as a team. So the list we have is Gayatri would be going, but then again, Arishi, you said it's you. So you guys can decide who's going to go now.
Okay.
Srinivas, you may have to, juggle. Yeah, thanks.
Hi guys. So, namaskara. Yugadi Habbada Shubhashayagalu. Nanna hesru Arushi Bhatt. Kumbaranige Varusha Donnige Nimsha. This means that things will take years to create, but minutes to destroy. This Kannada proverb can relate to climate change, one of the problems that are mostly overlooked in the world. Climate change can impact air quality and vice versa. Air is a crucial component of human survival. We must do everything we can to preserve our air before it's too late. There have also been actions executed by the US government. The Clean Air Act has cut air pollution for more than 45 years, while the US economy has grown. Because of the act, Americans breathe less pollution and face lower risks of premature death and other serious health effects. Environmental damage from air pollution is reduced. This is not enough, as global warming is progressing and our past must act for our future. ನಾವು ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಗಮನ ಹರಿಸದೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಪರಿಹಾರ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಕಂಡುಕೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕು. Many people have spoken out on climate change, from India's Narendra Modi to Bill Gates, David Attenborough, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and many more. This is a real problem, but where should we start? Soil? Water? Or air? If we had to narrow it down, the main and most important element that the United States government should focus on is air. We use it most. In fact, we are utilizing this element right now. Our team, Team Vayu, has a strong stance on the fact that the United States should focus on mainly air, instead of focusing on soil and water. As we will see from this debate, air is what gives us life. It is what keeps us breathing. Even when we focus on soil and water, we always lead back to air. There are many sections that we have targeted over this topic. Varun Jairam will touch on air advancements around the world and how the United States should play a role in this as well. The finances and costs of air are also important for the evolution of global warming, which will be further explained by Karun Jairam. Health and environmental aspects have a big influence towards climate change, and this will be presented by Kavya Rao. And Varsha Iyengar is our main researcher. This is the team with the strong points. Air is what keeps us alive, what we depend on the most. We can go days without water or soil, but we cannot live without air. Dhanyavadagalu.
Thank you, Arushi. Remarkable how you laid out the plan your team has to take it away from the other two teams. Good job. Thank you for that. There is a question to Nidhi from Kavya Rao. High air pollution levels also cause a decrease in biodiversity. What makes water special? So Nidhi, you don't have to answer it now. Please save the question for rebuttal time, but you need to answer it during rebuttal time or you'll lose points. Okay, guys, with that, we'll move to our third speaker of the night, Manya. Manya, take it away.
Soil. In the roots, there's a stalk. In the stalk, there's a branch. In the branch, leaves, flowers, and fruit, all rooted in the soil. That is our making. Soil is the very soul of our life. By Sadhguru. Hello, my name is Manya, and today I will be introducing to you our debate. Soil. We strongly believe that out of air, water, and soil, soil is the one that the government should invest the most on and invest immediately, with several valid reasons as to why this is the right thing to do. Soil pollution occurs when all the nutrients are stripped from the ground or when there's a harmful amount of toxic chemicals leached into the ground. There's a common misconception that soil and dirt are the same. Adare, Mannu kasavalla, adu maradu, mattu jaivika mishrana, hagu namma badukige atyagatya. It means that soil isn't the same as dirt. Rather, it is a mix of sand and organic matter and vital to our survival. Firstly, it is causing biodiversity loss, which I will be explaining. It also causes the loss of nutrients, which leads to other problems, which Sachita will explain. Arnav will talk about how soil is very important to be growing food. Ritvik will talk about how purifying soil can also purify water and air at the same time, with Nandita concluding our argument at the end. Soil not only includes soil, but every other aspect of land too. This includes agricultural land as well as wildlife habitats like rainforests. The ocean beds are made of soil too. It sustains the flora and fauna in the ocean as well. Soil biodiversity would include the organisms in the soil, and if we don't conserve soil, a lot of biodiversity is lost. According to the Save Soil Project, scientists say that around 27,000 species of life forms are becoming extinct every year due to the loss of habitat. The crisis has reached a point where 80% of the insect biomass has been lost, and the loss of biodiversity further disrupts the soil habitat, preventing soil regeneration. Animals, both directly and indirectly, rely on soil too. Without unpolluted soil, it would have disastrous effects on the food chain and wildlife habitats. There would be no vegetation, and if there's no vegetation, there's no food for the herbivores that depend on this. If there are no herbivores, there's no room for carnivores. Therefore, the food chain would never exist. Soil microbes have a proven ability to absorb air pollutants, and if these are lost, then the air will never be as clean either. The trees, plants, shrubs, and grasses that soil hosts are the lungs of the earth, which provide us with the vital oxygen and absorb excess carbon dioxide. As we can see, soil is essential for our survival, which is why it should be conserved before air and water. Dhanyawad.
Thank you very much, Manya. It was impressive opening for your team. Good job on that. So we conclude round one speakers at this point, and we are moving to round two speakers. Round two speakers are Vedika, Varun, and Sachita. Vedika, you're on.
ನೀರು ಭೂಮಿಯ ಮೇಲಿನ ಜೀವನಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ದೈಹಿಕ ಆರೋಗ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳ ಅವಶ್ಯಕವಾಗಿದೆ. By conserving water, we are also making sure that our health stays intact and that we are not endangering ourselves to illnesses. We use water to make sure we are clean and healthy every day, and insufficient hygiene can lead to diseases such as diarrhea, hepatitis A, cholera, and dysentery. Diseases related to unsafe water result in an estimated 1.7 million deaths every year. 450 million children live in areas that experience high or extremely high water vulnerability, and 1 in 5 children do not have enough water to meet their everyday needs. The NITI-AOG report on Composite Water Management Index 2018 underlies that about 200,000 people die in India every year due to inadequate access to safe water. When we conserve water, we conserve fuel used to transport water and reduce the pollution generated by burning fuel in the air, which in turn can help reduce diseases such as lung cancer, heart disease, and chronic respiratory disease. If regular households have less water, it will lead to more cases of dehydration. Dehydration hampers the body's attempts at regulating temperature, which can cause hyperthermia, kidney problems, seizures, and low blood volume shock. Less than 1% of the water on Earth is freshwater and is accessible to humans. So if we don't start conserving water, it will start to become scarcer. Already, 1.1 billion people worldwide lack access to safe water, and it is predicted that by 2025, 2/3 of the world's population may face water shortages. These reasons are why the government should focus on conserving water now before it is too late.
Thank you, Vedika. A very rational argument from your side. There is a question, let me see, for Arushi. Okay, there's a bunch of questions here. So I have a question posted to Nidhi. Isn't respirations byproduct carbon dioxide, not oxygen? You can answer it during rebuttal. There's another question for Arushi. Ritvik asks, the air we breathe comes from none other than plants, photosynthesis, right? Which are made from pure, rich soil. Another question, right? Hydroponics are a high-tech process and may not be able to exist in all rural regions in the world. This might be useful for humans consume food in part, as you cannot grow trees that are the foundation for ecosystem and food chain sustainability. That's a long question. Another one, question to Manya. If you claim that plants absorb so much air pollutants, why is air pollution still a huge issue in the US? Seeing that these plants are not absorbing pollutants at the rate where air pollution is not an emergency, shouldn't the government focus on conserving air? All great questions, guys. Luckily, I'm not answering them. All of you guys can choose to answer these at the end during the rebuttal time. Thank you very much, Vedika. With that, we'll move to our next speaker, Varun.
Namaskara. Nanna Hesaru Varun. In my case, is about air quality around the world. Air quality around the world is affecting humans everywhere, from higher temperatures to health issues. One example is from the Industrial Revolution, and it is the Great Smog of London. It was on December 5th, 1952, and it was a horrible event caused by the lack of wind and sulfur dioxide in the air due to the coal power plants being so close to the city. And here's a section from an article, History. The noxious 30-mile wide air mass, teeming with acrid sulfur particles, reeked like rotten eggs. That is what people had to deal with back then, but now we deal with the same things. However, it is now invisible. Here's a more recent event. It happened on December 5th, 2019 in New Delhi, India. And as air quality was really bad, as a fast bowler Suranga Lakshmal from Sri Lanka started throwing up during the match. Here is a quote from the New York Times. Pollution in New Delhi is especially bad right now, and one of the Sri Lankan players could barely breathe. Avanu Baggi Tana Monakalu Gala Mele Tana Kai Ittu Vanti Madidanu. Idella Ketta Gali Inda Aitu. The Sri Lankan cricketers were clearly not ready for New Delhi's foul air, which this week contained 22 times the level of hazardous particles that the World Health Organization considers acceptable. 22 times. Think about how many viral infections, bacterial infections, and toxic particles would be in that air. Now it goes into your body, and it is not ready at all to handle all of these foreign things, as it has never come into contact with it. The current US government administration has addressed these concerns about carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. As such, it rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement to decarbonize the power sector by 2035, as it was left by the previous administration. Climate.gov, which is the US Climate Service, claims that Earth's temperature has risen by 0.14 degrees Fahrenheit since 1880 to 2021, and 2019 was one of 3 warmest years ever recorded. However, UN reports from the World Meteorological Organization says that 2020 was one of 3 warmest years ever recorded. Thank you.
Looks like Srirama or the internet banta. Okay. Image was frozen salpa, so we'll wait for Sriram to rejoin.
And I'm here.
You're here?
You can have me back, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, if I'm back on the spotlight, excellent. Varun, I heard half of your debate. Can you please go again from the beginning? I don't want to miss it. I'm just kidding. I'm sure the judges heard you and all the important people heard you, man. I'm just a moderator. Don't worry about it. Okay, great job. So without internet issues, how can we prove we still have issues in the world, right? So here's the proof. So thank you very much for that, Varun. Awesome job there. With that, we'll move ahead to our next debater. That would be Sachita. Sachita, take it away.
ಪಂಚಭೂತಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಾದ ಮಣ್ಣು ಅಂದರೆ ಭೂಮಿ. ಭೂಮಿಯೇ ಸರ್ವ ಪ್ರಧಾನ ಹಾಗೂ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠ. ಭೂಮಿಯು ಸಮಸ್ತ ಜೀವರಾಶಿಗಳಿಗೂ ಜೀವನ ಆಧಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದ ಆಹಾರವನ್ನು ಕೊಡುತ್ತಿದೆ. ಈ ಭೂಮಿಯ ಮಕ್ಕಳಾಗಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆ ಇದೆ. In summary, this means that one of the 5 elements is soil. Out of all of them, soil is the most important and most sacred. Every life on earth requires food to survive. As the earth provides this food to them, it is the most important element. We feel proud to be the children of the earth. Hello, my name is Sachita, and I will be speaking about the loss of nutrients, desertification, and salinization, which causes a loss of livelihood. Desertification is the process in which fertile land becomes desert-like due to droughts, deforestation, and the improper use of agriculture. Droughts will continue unless we invest in soil. Soil retains water from precipitation, the water stored underground, and nutrients. If we continue to let this happen, the fertility of the soil will soon be completely drained out, disabling us from using it to grow food. Also, we would experience a water scarcity. If we invest in soil, we would solve 2 problems in one. The inappropriate use of agriculture can also cause salinization, which is the increase of salt in soil. If they both continue to grow, there will be a loss of habitats for animals to live in. However, we aren't stopping it. According to the European Commission's World Atlas of Desertification, at least 75% of the Earth's land has already been degraded. More than 90% is going to be degraded by 2050. Also, according to National Geographic, about 2 billion people living on dry land that are vulnerable to desertification could displace an estimated 50 million people by 2030. If it continues at this rate, many people would lose their homes. This would cause problems throughout society, such as a mass herd of people moving to different areas of the world, which might not be able to sustain everyone. As Sadhguru says, right now, the most important aspect of conserving nature is the soil. If we do not stop soil degradation, the planet will not be conducive for human beings to live upon it. Although we often overlook it, soil is incredibly important to all of us. If we don't take care of it, our world will soon become inhabitable, and we will not be able to survive. Thank you.
Mind-blowing performance, Sachita. Thank you so much. So many science-related words there. Salinization, 50%, 25%. Sadhguru is the only word I could gather from that, though. brilliant performance. Thank you so much. Luckily, we have smart kids as our judges tonight, and of course, our senior member Bhiman as well, which kind of reduces my stress level there. You guys are hitting it out of the park today. So with this, we conclude round 2, and a quick shout out to our Sandeep and our timekeeper here. Sandeep, thank you so much. You're doing amazing job at being a timekeeper. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and I'm almost tempted to be the timekeeper for our next debate. Thank you very much for that. So we have a few questions here. Yes, they are reminding me here. So the questions are, while I was dropped off, I guess these guys send the questions. Statement on Vedika's information: 3% of world is fresh water, not 1%. Okay, so apparently there's an incorrect statement in your statement, Vedika. So I think they are correcting it. I think Arushi sent it to me. Next, for Manya, why soil is more important than water? Because there are methods to grow plants without soil, but no methods of growing plants without water, right? Okay, that's a question to you. And there's another thing. The question is for Sachita. Water is required for healthy soil. If we don't have clean water, how would we conserve soil? Good question. And I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all these questions and put it in our WhatsApp debate group, guys. That way you have access to all these questions before the rebuttal time itself, while some other speaker is speaking now, right? Okay, so with that, the spotlight can move to round 3 debaters, Srinivas. And round 3 debaters are Gautam, Karan, and Arnav. Gautam, it's all yours.
ನೀರು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಎಂಬುದು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ತಿಳಿದಿದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಉದ್ಯಮ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಾರಿಗೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರ ಮಹತ್ವ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಪೂರ್ತಿಯಾಗಿ ತಿಳಿದಿಲ್ಲ. Water is required in almost innumerable quantities by industries and is used in many stages and types of manufacturing. In particular, fabrication, processing, washing, diluting, cooling, and transporting a product. In smelting facilities, petroleum refineries, and industries producing chemical products, food, and paper products. Water is ancestral and ingrained in the footprint of practically every item manufactured in the world. In other words, the industry is responsible for around 40% of overall water abstractions, and multinational firms operate in water-scarce areas, and 2/3 of those businesses are reporting water-related concerns. A large number of oil industries consume considerable quantities of water, as well as the paper industry. The multiple processes that transform a log into a piece of paper require millions of gallons of water. Although water may not be a critical component of all the product processing, manufacturing, and other sectors, it is still vital. The entire volume of fresh and salt water consumed by the industry in the United States is over 410 billion gallons per day. Ancient and modern civilizations have always been drawn to areas near water, partially because traveling by water is efficient. The importance of local and international trade has influenced the development of water-based transportation throughout history. Transportation of people and products rely heavily on waterways. The intricate web of connecting coastal ports, interior ports, train, air, and truck routes is the bedrock of global monetary wealth. Without these ports and waterways, we would be incapable of receiving imports from India, such as pharmaceuticals, organic chemicals, coffee, tea, spices, vegetables, fruit, and nuts are just a few of the Indian imports we receive. We receive $50 billion in imports from India, or 15 to 20% of our total imports. The United States and the world rely heavily on transportation and industry, and if water is not protected, several modes of transportation and the economy would crash, leaving one of the only modes of transportation being through air, which would leave us receiving fewer imports from other countries. An ocean shipment costs $195, whereas an air shipment costs $1,000. Meaning air transportation costs 5 times more expensive than transportation by water. Because of that, the bulk of trade is water-based, approximately 95% of all international trade. The United States was the world's leading trader in 1998, accounting for 1 billion tons of ocean-bound trade. By 2020, international trade more than doubled.
Very forceful argument there, Gautam. You're not an easy debater, are you? You went back all the way back in history to dig in some statistics and numbers. Excellent work there. You went back to 1990s and 98s. You guys weren't even born at that time. Amazing work, guys. Good job on that. Thank you, Gautam. There is a question to Sachita. You talk about soil on a general scale. The topic of debate focuses on the United States. What are the statistics relating to the states? Good question. You can answer it at the rebuttal time, guys. Okay, thank you, Gautam. With that, we'll move to the next debater, Karan.
Namaskara. Nan Hasru Karun. And today I'll be talking about the economic drawbacks to air pollution. The economic and health costs from air pollution from burning fossil fuels totaled to $2.9 trillion in 2018. This was calculated in the form of work absences, lives lost, and premature deaths, according to the new report by the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air. The researchers found that the most premature deaths from fossil fuel-related air pollution in 2018 were in mainland China, with 1.8 million deaths, India with 1 million deaths, and the United States with 230,000 deaths. As a result, those three countries also face the highest annual costs: $900 billion in China, $600 billion in the United States, and $150 billion in India. Los Angeles officials revealed their clean action update with a price tag that could reach up to $14 billion. The cheaper the fuel, the higher the cost. According to the World Bank, air pollution costs the global economy more than $5 trillion every year in welfare costs. A 2016 study by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development predicts that if this situation remains unchanged, by 2060, the annual global welfare cost of premature deaths from outdoor air pollution would be about $25 trillion. There's also less direct costs, which nonetheless affect us globally. The reduction of the ozone is expected to reduce staple crop yields by 26% by 2030. This creating food insecurity and nutritional challenges. Acting now against air pollution translates into saving the United States $32 trillion. Gali baruva dakke karanna vayu devaru. Age vayu devaru usurinna devaru kuda. Higagi jiva kudava devaru. Vaya malinya adaga jivasalu kashta. Thank you. Oh, you're muted.
Excellent there, Karun. The 2 minutes time you just managed barely. That is smart. All right. With that, we'll move to our last speaker of this round, Arnav.
Namaskara. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು Arnav, ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾನು ಒಂದು speaker, Team Bhumi ಅಂತ. I would like to begin with a Sanskrit verse. ಕ್ಷಮಯ ಧರಿತ್ರಿ. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಷಮಿಸುವ ಭೂದೇವಿ andre, the forgiving Mother Earth. The phrase represents how, for eons, Mother Earth has had the patience to forgive us for all that we have used it for, and yet it continues to bear the fruits for us to survive on. Soil is vital for the earth in its ability to nurture the growth of plants. Through soil's fostering of plant life, it provides the food for other creatures higher up along the food chain, including us. With contemporary farming and agricultural systems, we can produce the food needed to sustain all the people across the entire world. And it all starts with soil conservation using modern practices and technologies, some of which include crop rotation, strategic fertilization, and cover crops. Of course, deforestation for farmland is something that absolutely must be avoided, since on average, 15,000 square miles of rich, healthy forest land is lost for farming purposes. But incorporating these agricultural methods ensures that soil can be revitalized and preserved without needing to spread into farmland into forests. Through keeping the soil healthy and rich, you make sure that the plants grown will be bountiful and sustainable as well. Now, some might wonder why soil is even in need of government funding. Without the funds, these techniques cannot be implemented, leading to fertile soil loss and the diminishing of rich farmland for the crops. For example, only 3 to 7% of American farmers are able to incorporate crop rotation methods, leading to a less productive and efficient system and the reduction of nutrient-rich soil. In the past year itself, the United States has lost over 2 million acres of land for active crop production. As the Earth's population steadily rises, it becomes tremendously important for soil to be maintained to meet these growing global demands for food through soil preservation and giving back to Mother Earth. Team Bhumi strongly believes that funds should be set aside for soil's protection and preservation. I would like to close with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi, who said that to forget how to till the earth and to tend the soil is to forget ourselves. All civilizations started on fertile soil, and only by preserving the sacred soil can we ensure life on this planet continues. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnav. Excellent line of argument there. I really enjoyed it thoroughly. We need to take a minute's break here because these kids are doing excellent job and the judges are having hard time. Apparently, I heard they have to collect the data. They have to rate you guys. It's not easy what you're throwing at judges every minute. So we'll take a minute's break now. Sandeep Uncle is going to ask questions. Before I hand it over to Sandeep Uncle, I do have two questions here that I want to read it to you guys. Question to Gautam. You mentioned the high prices of air pollution conservation, but isn't it important that we focus on conserving air now so that the costs don't rise even higher to the point where it is unpayable later? That's one question. Second one is for Gautam again. The imports can't happen unless the food grows, which involves soil. Wouldn't this mean that soil is more important? Excellent question again. Sandeep, take it away. We'll give a break to our judges.
Thanks, Sriram. ಹೌದು, ಈ ಮಕ್ಕಳೆಲ್ಲ ಒಬ್ರಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಒಬ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ and the judges are like having to stack up the scores. And everybody's is a high scoring performance so far. It's awesome. Nice to hear such strong advocates in our youths. Sudarshan, please also check the YouTube and the highlighters with any comments from the YouTube by unmuting yourself. But before that, I'll just ask them a question and then give them some time. Okay, this is for the audience. In which country is the wettest place on the earth? I know many of you will know which country, but if you can name the state and the place, that would be even better. Yav deshadalli atyanta male aguva sambhava iruttade, aa jagada hesaru athwa aa state da hesaru in addition helidre, that's even better. This is for the audience. While the audience are typing away, Sudarshan, any feedback, comments from the audience so far? We're nearly at the half mark point or a little over.
Sure. There was one question. There is a lag, right? Like between the time you ask the question and there is a, like 90 seconds or so. So we'll have to wait for some time for feedback from the audience.
You can just, any nice comments, any quirky comments, any interesting comments, you can post them here.
Sure. I will do that.
While Sudarshan makes a list, Sriram, now we can continue the next round if you are okay, and you also get a little break.
Thank you. You raised to throw more data now. I'm like my brain cells are forming new pathways, man. Thank you so much, Sandeep. And we'll resume our debate now. Excellent debate. Srinivas, it's time to switch to round 4 debaters. Sudarshan or Irbohudu, Spotlight Auro, he's collecting the data from and the chats from YouTube. Round 4, we start with Sana, Kavya, and Ritvik. Sana Brige, as you guys probably know her, she's an excellent debater. I know her. Sana, take it away. It's all yours.
ನೀರು ಅಥವಾ ಜಲಮೂಲಗಳನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸದೆ ಜೀವನ ನಡೆಸುವುದನ್ನು ನೀವು ಊಹಿಸಬಲ್ಲಿರಾ? ನನಗೆ ಅನುಮಾನವಿದೆ. People all around the world require water as an essential to life, but it's also fundamental towards a country's economy in terms of tourism, exports, etc. Around 75% of the global workforce is made up of jobs that are either moderately or heavily dependent on water. And it's in the government's best interest to create and sustain jobs. As our fresh water supply globally decreases, so too goes the future of such careers. This is a severe puncture to the economy and requires immediate attention from the government. Tourism is also a key factor. The United States is filled to the brim with exciting attractions, but many, if not most, are based on or heavily reliant on water. From beaches, from the 2 different coasts to the numerous lakes to attractions such as geysers, all deal with water. We know that national parks aren't just for attraction purposes. They also preserve and protect the delicate land. Yet some areas don't have this luxury of conservation and are being destroyed by pollution, inhabitation, and more. They're in desperate need of support. And if they don't get the attention they deserve, the country's economy will suffer. The United States has one of the world's largest water footprints, which means we use and export water a lot. We also must take into consideration the fact that we are not the only living things in this world who require water. Almost every organism needs water to survive, especially marine life. As pollution increases, the more harm comes to these animals, as well as the plants residing beneath the surface. This is also crucial towards our economy, for the United States is one of the world's 3 largest consumers of seafood products. Yet we import over 90% of our fish and shellfish. As the water grows more and more toxic, we lose one of our biggest food suppliers. Water is so essential to the environment. Anything occurring to it has effects on all our survival needs. As we lose water, we lose marine life as well as all animals who can't sustain themselves without water. We can lose our habitat, and problems such as acid rain occur and destroy the environment due to pollution, which is a result of neglect and improper care from humans. We lose our health, as explained before. The economy crashes, and it would be nearly impossible to fix the damage. Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's needs, but not every man's greed. This quote from Mahatma Gandhi summarizes the ideologies and mindset we need in order to step on the right path towards protecting the world and conserving our water. The earth has given us all the necessities we need for our survival, and there's no one to blame for the damage except us. Repenting after the devastation and attempting to repair is not an option in this case. We must recognize the problem now and take action to preserve, and protect. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
Formidable and compelling, Sana. Nothing less expected of you. Excellent job there. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move to our next debater, Kavya.
Namaskara. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು Kavya, and the focal point of my research is on the health and environmental drawbacks of air pollution. ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರ ಹೇಳಿಕೆಯಂತೆ ಈ ಭೂಮಿಯ ಮನುಷ್ಯನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆಗಳನ್ನು ಪೂರೈಸಬಹುದು, ಆದರೆ ದುರಾಸೆಯಲ್ಲ. The meaning of this statement is that the earth has enough resources to support all humanity, however, it cannot support a luxurious lifestyle. Around the globe, air has been taken for granted, which has led to extensive health and environmental problems. Firstly, we believe that the natural resource air is the most important out of all other resources because high air pollution levels can cause immediate and permanent health problems, including cardiovascular illness, loss of lung capacity, and the development of diseases such as asthma, bronchitis, and possibly cancer. There is no doubt today that air pollution is a global health emergency, seeing that it threatens anyone and everyone. According to the World Health Organization, every year around 7 million premature deaths are attributable to air pollution. That's a staggering 800 people every hour or 13 every minute. Secondly, we believe that air conservation, rather than water or soil, should be conducted by the government because high air pollution levels cause major environmental drawbacks, such as the fueling of climate change, depletion of the ozone layer, increased levels of nitrogen oxide entering aquatic systems, extensive haze, and tons more. All of these drawbacks are caused by air emissions, which brings me to my next point. The government of the United States has the means and resources to focus on conserving this natural resource. A couple ways that they can make this happen is by creating and enforcing federal air regulations, building more sustainable windmills, and utilizing other solar technology. The solutions I have presented are a few out of the many worthwhile ways air pollution can be reduced. All in all, it is of the utmost importance that the United States government focuses on the conservation of the natural resource air. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
2 minutes up. Thank you very much, Kavya. Great job there. Sudarshan, before there are some questions and some reminder here, I would like to just quickly read up on those. Sudarshan uncle says, amazing job kids. Wow, I love the Kannada and connecting their topics to India. Love it, keep going. And Srinivas uncle says, guys, We are on full gallery mode during the rebuttal time. That means, you can't pick your noses, and stuff. Just be focused, right? As we discussed during the rehearsal, right? Okay, guys, there's two more questions here. At Arnav, you mentioned that deforestation affects soil, influencing soil erosion, but doesn't deforestation create a greater negative impact for air as it releases pollutants into the air resulting from the occurrence of forest fires? Then another question to Arnav. Fertile soil depends on water. So without clean water in the soil wouldn't produce many crops. So shouldn't water be preserved? Right, excellent question there. Okay, guys, thank you very much. With that, we'll move to our next debater, Ritvik. Ritvik, it's all yours.
Namaste. Namahasru Ritvik. You can't build a great building on a weak foundation. Gordon B. Hinckley. Soil is the main foundation for the existence of clean air and water. Imagine a world that has contaminated water, polluted air, and unfertile soil that simply cannot sustain our environment. Believe it or not, we no longer have to because we are living on such an earth. Choosing the right path to save the planet can be extremely crucial. The soil that covers the earth is the basis for the existence of clean air and water. The oxygen released in the atmosphere comes from the vegetation that thrives on ground soil. The oxygen supporting life on Earth is only possible due to photosynthesis. The process takes in the carbon dioxide we all exhale and converts it into oxygen, releasing it into the atmosphere. However, photosynthesis is also a key in air purification. According to a NASA experiment done back in 1989, it revealed that plants with rich soil can remove deadly toxins such as formaldehyde and benzene, which are two air pollutants containing severe carcinogens. According to Healthline.com, one of the best purification plants are known as chrysanthemums, which are said to eliminate toxins just such as formaldehyde, xylene, benzene, and ammonia. Furthermore, the nitrogen in the soil is known to be a common source of hydroxyl radicals. Hydroxyl radicals are known to react with carbon monoxide and hydrocarbon molecules in the air, breaking them apart and scrubbing the atmosphere completely clean. If not well maintained by the government, the current soil that enables plant life will become unfertile and useless. Moreover, soil is also important in cleaning polluted water. The groundwater that seeps into the ground is cleaned by soil as it acts as a sponge to absorb all the pollutants. As a result, it runs down into the streams and lakes as fresh water, thus providing water to sustain life on Earth. This will allow many living things, including humans, to have drinkable water to thrive. By investing more money into soil, it will enable us to have more breathable air and clean water for life to sustain itself. Bhavishyavu navu ega yenu madvi yem budara mele avalambi shide. The future depends on what we do in the present. Thank you.
Thank you, Ritvik. Amazing debate there. Nice points. And you close with Kannada statement there, which is good. Okay, guys, with that, we are done with round 4. Now we can have the round 5 debaters on the spotlight. Usually the closing arguments are made very forcefully, very impactful, powerful. So I expect the same from Dhaval, Gayatri, and Nandita now. And Dhaval, it's you to begin with. Take it away.
ಆಯುರ್ವೇದದ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಆರೋಗ್ಯದ ಯೋಗಕ್ಷೇಮ ದೇಹದ ಸಮತೋಲನ ನಿರ್ವಹಣೆ ಹಾಗೂ ರೋಗನಿರೋಧಕ ಶಕ್ತಿಗೆ ನೀರಿನ ಅಗತ್ಯವಿದೆ. ಆದಾಗ್ಯೂ ನೀರು ಕಲುಷಿತವಾಗಿದ್ದರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಸಿಗದಿದ್ದರೆ ಅದು ಸಹಾಯವಾಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. The United States government should focus on the conservation of water for the plethora of reasons we've provided today. First, water's impact on the environment. The conservation of water protects the biodiversity of the planet as the habitats will not be destroyed by pollutants in the water or its transportation. Water is also required for all plant growth, from cacti to rice plants. These plants are needed for both food production and air filtration. The loss of these plants due to a lack of water would be catastrophic. Second, the health consequences. There are a variety of diseases related to unsafe water, such as diarrhea, hepatitis A, cholera, and dysentery. A lack of clean water would also lead to dehydration, which would cause hyperthermia, kidney problems, seizures, and low blood volume shock. Finally, the impact of water on the economy. Water is integral in every step of the manufacturing and industrial processes. It is so important that 410 billion gallons of water are used industrially every day in the United States alone. In addition, 75% of the global workforce has jobs that are dependent on water. Any industry based on waterways would be destroyed, including seafood, a major source of food around the globe. The tourism industry will suffer as beautiful views will be ruined and habitats will be destroyed by acid rain. The energy sector would be heavily impacted as fresh water is required for almost all types of energy production during extraction, processing, and generation. The government can take simple steps in order to conserve and protect the vital resource that we call water. First, the government can incentivize sectors and businesses to be resource efficient and transparent in their use of water. Benchmarks can be established based on best available technologies and practices, forcing sectors to adapt and to conserve resources. The government can also engage with citizens to raise awareness of their water footprint and ways to reduce it. It can also set maximum sustainable limits for water consumption and pollution in river basins and aquifers. When scientists look for life on other planets, the first thing that they look for is water. There is always great excitement among astronauts when they discover a planet, moon, or asteroid that could contain liquid water. Even on Earth, the incredibly diverse range of life all rely on one thing: water. There are life forms that can live without soil. There are life forms that can live without oxygen, but there are no life forms on Earth that can live without water. The government should do everything it can to protect this life-sustaining substance, because without water, there is no life.
Excellent. Dhaval, you made your opening statement with a very clear, crisp long Kannada statement. After that, everything is blur for me because I was so impressed. ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ನನಗೂ I'm thinking like, should I research? Should I tell them I didn't understand? Because it's brilliant. Your Kannada is speechless, amazing, good job on that. And ಅದೇ ತರ in the entire speech and debating the closing statements were very strong. Excellent work on that, Dhaval. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move to our next excellent debater, Gayatri. Take it away.
Never forget the importance of living with unbridled acceleration. This is something that Robin Sharma, a popular Canadian writer, has said, and I feel that it rings true in the hearts of many people across the world. Namaskara, Nanna Hesaru Gayatri. Air is acknowledged as a powerful figure across a myriad of cultures, including our own Hindu culture. In Greek mythology, there are 4 gods that represent air. Boreas represents the north wind, Notus for the south wind, Eurus for the east wind, and Zephyrus for the west wind. Alongside them, there is the keeper of winds, Aeolus. In Hindu culture, air is seen as a state of consciousness and being that cannot be seen despite existing everywhere. Vayu is the god of air. He has a son, who we know to be Hanuman, a key player in the Ramayana. If our respect and admiration for air is so deep, why do we pollute it? Why do we sully its greatness, its pureness? Even if one completely disregards the respect that so many cultures hold for air, there is the simple fact that without air, humans can barely live for 3 minutes. All of the pollutants that we send into the air make it impossible for us to take in the oxygen that we so desperately need. These pollutants cause cancer, damage lung, and disrupt immune systems. Everyone is at risk for these life-endangering complications. However, babies are especially susceptible. According to the State of Global Air pollution is linked with an increased risk of low birth weight and preterm birth. Babies born too small or too early are more susceptible to health problems, such as lower respiratory infections, diarrheal diseases, brain damage and inflammation, blood disorders, and jaundice. Low birth weight and preterm birth are leading risk factors for the death in the first month of life, contributing to an estimated 1.8 million deaths worldwide. Furthermore, the organization also estimates that 476,000 newborn babies died within the first month of their life as a direct result of health problems resulting from air pollution in 2019. These deaths can be prevented through several options, which the United States is more than capable of going through with. Sripada Raja, one of the most greatest sages, said, Karunabhimani suraru dehava pidalu kuruda kivuda muka nendanisuva parama mukya prana tolagala dehavanu aritu penavendu pelvaru budajana, which means that even if one loses their ears, eyesight, and voice, they can continue to live. But without air and oxygen, prana, they are nothing but a dead body. Thus, it becomes obvious that the United States should focus their resources on reducing air pollution. Thank you.
Nice argument there, Gayatri, how you connected the senses with the breathing, because we can still live without seeing, right, the senses, but the air. Nice one there, closing arguments. Good job on that. And with that, we have, last but not the least, for sure, Nandita, you're ready to go. Make a impactful closing argument. Go for it.
Hi, my name is Nandita. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಯುಗಾದಿ ಹಬ್ಬದ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. ನಾವು ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಲು ಬಯಸುವ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯಾಗಿರಬೇಕು. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. A quote by Mahatma Gandhi. In order to see proper positive change in the world, action must be taken in order to conserve the correct element. Considering all the information given today, it can be concluded that soil investments made by the government will prove to be more profitable than investments made for air or water. First, the protection of life. According to the Safe Soil Project, soil is beneficial to the ecosystem, and in its absence, many forms of life cannot be sustained. Scientists say that around 27,000 species of life forms are becoming extinct every year due to the loss of habitat. Second, the upkeep of our ground. Soil retains water from precipitation, the water stored underground, and nutrients. If we continue to let this happen, the fertility of the soil will soon be completely drained out, disabling us from using it to grow food. This leads to our next point, which is the provision of sustenance. Soil is also of the utmost importance in making sure the food we eat is nutritious by transferring its own rich minerals through plants as they grow into fruits and vegetables. Through soil's fostering of plant life, it provides the food animals and organisms higher on the food chain, such as us. The rising population of these organisms is reason enough for soil to be conserved in order to provide sustenance for them. And lastly, the dependence of other elements on soil, which highlights the importance of soil conservation. The scarcity of water on Earth and even the pollution of the very air we breathe draws back to the mistreatment of soil, as explained by our team today. Soil is not merely land to walk on, but it also passes through plants, humans, and animals alike, connecting us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandita. So Nandita showed us you can make a very strong closing even with a soft argument, soft voice. Thank you very much for that. We have, with this, it's a conclusion, guys. Excellent job. You guys did amazing. Each one of you guys, actually, each speaker did amazing job at this. We have 3 questions that we want. I will be reading those questions to you guys. However, before that, there's an audience comment. Great debate, and seems like kids have researched a lot. Kudos to all the kids. Best of luck. Then there's a question for Ritvik. Photosynthesis wouldn't take place without water. Photosynthesis produces oxygen, but without water, the oxygen wouldn't be produced. Wow, that's a little convoluted statement there for me. Okay, the next question, because there's questions flowing here, guys. Okay, give me a minute. Next question is for Gayatri. How is the birth of children and deaths of premature babies connected to air pollution? Because it could also be the way they are born or some other health problems. Okay. And the next one is to Gayatri as well. We may need oxygen to live, but it can be created easily with electricity out of water and creates pure oxygen, which we can dilute to create a much larger supply of air. On the other hand, creating water from air is much more difficult as you must separate it into oxygen and other and expose it to a great amount of air. Why is it still important to have just air on hand? Okay, guys, these are amazing questions. There's another audience comment. Vinay Rao says, yes, good job by all kids in displaying their research and oratory skills. So yeah, guys, with this, we are officially, we have concluded the debate itself. Now the rebuttal time starts. There's about 30 minutes already to rebuttal time. And if you have any questions, any team members have any questions, raise a hand in Zoom. Please do not unmute and start speaking, guys. Let's be civil. Raise your hand in Zoom, and I'll help you guys. With any questions you may have. The judges are free now to ask any questions directly to the speakers. Take it away. The team leads can start answering the questions that were posted to them earlier.
All right. So for our first question, Nady would like to respond.
All right, so our first question was, why is water more important than air to conserve biodiversity? To that we respond, to cure air pollution, one of the best ways to do it is cleansing the air through plants. They would filter out air and refresh it, but the plants are unable to function without the support of water helping it grow. The more biodiversity we have in our plant life, the more we can cure air pollution. But the hope of that is impossible without water, excuse me. Water is crucial in this circumstance and must be protected. And also we'd like to say a lot of the globe's biodiversity is in the oceans. So if the oceans and water are not protected, much of the biodiversity would be lost.
Okay. Other team members, leads can answer the questions posted to your teams. So Judge has a question to Himawat. You're free to unmute yourself and ask the question directly to the participants.
Yeah, I'm actually going to hold off for till the end because it seems like a lot of the participants have plenty of questions to flying around. So let's hold off until maybe the last few minutes of the rebuttal, and I've got a question for all three teams to answer.
Perfect, makes sense. If none of you guys are going, I think there is a question to all three teams by I think Vinay Rao, the audience. This is for all you guys, okay? So conservation starts with conversation. Oh, wow, conservation starts with conversation. Which of these quintessential, what is this, Vinay, you're making me do this, resources are in most conversations around the world today? I hope you guys got it. I'm not going to repeat it. I'm going to copy paste it in the chat.
So for our team, we wanted to answer a question. Can I just say it now?
Yeah, Manya, go ahead.
Okay. So one of our questions was that if you claim that plants absorb so much air pollutants, why is air pollution still a huge issue in the United States? And seeing that these plants are not absorbing pollutants at the rate where air pollution is not an emergency, should the government's focus on conserving air? So our response to that is the reason why air isn't being purified is because there aren't enough plants as the soil is being polluted, and as a lot of plants or trees can't be grown because of the loss of nutrients in the soil, we aren't able to grow trees, and without because we aren't able to grow the trees or plants, and that's why the air isn't being purified, which is why soil should be conserved so that we can grow the trees and plants required to purify the air after.
Manya. I saw Arushi, Varsha, and Gautam raise their hands. You can, Gautam, do you want to go first?
Yeah. So 2 questions that we had asked to us. May I please answer them? So the question was, you mentioned the high prices of air pollution, but isn't it important that we pay them now? So I will clarify that question, that is not what I said. My statistic was an ocean shipment costs $195, whereas an air shipment costs $1,000, meaning air transportation costs 5 times more expensive than transportation of by water. Because of this, the bulk of trade is water-based. And the second question is, imports require goods to be grown. So isn't soil more important than water? And the answer is there are alternate methods of producing food, such as previously mentioned hydroponics. In addition, food is not the only good that is transported. All other goods that are transported, such as clothes, paper, and energy, fuels, all require water as well. Both the transportation industry and the goods that it ships are run by water. Also, to create the food is photosynthesis, which requires water.
Thank you, Gautam. Varsha, you want to go next, and then Arushi, and then I see Arnav raise hand as well. So in this order, Varsha, Arushi, and Arnav, please.
To answer Ritvik's question of why plants for air, why don't we need plants for air and photosynthesis? Air dependency can't be questioned, as plants have greater dependency on carbon dioxide to perform all their jobs. And Arushi would like to build on mine.
Yes, I agree with Risha, but also vice versa. Without air, plants would not be able to create glucose and they would die. And like this is essential for plant growth. And without air, plants would not be able to thrive or grow or anything like that. And half of plants, oxygen is created through phytoplankton, not photosynthesis.
You can go now, Arnav, and then Kavya, and then Praneeth.
All right, this is in response to the claim that fertile soil depends on clean water. Soil acts as a natural purifier for water. So the soil particles are like a physical filter, cleansing water as it infiltrates through to the roots of plants. And due to soil having a negative charge, it tends to grab onto and absorb chemicals, and then microbes and bacteria convert or decompose these into different safer compounds. So this demonstrates like how good preserved soil also cleans and preserves water, not the other way around.
Okay, you want to go?
Yeah, so we had the question posed to us, unsafe water kills 200 children every hour, even with the amount of air pollution in the air. With this statistic, why should air pollution be more focused on? And I said that the World Health Organization, every year around 7 million premature deaths are attributable to air pollution. That's a staggering 800 people every hour. 800 is more than 200 children. And I'm saying 800 every hour. So that's why air pollution should be more focused on air conservation.
Pranil, you're next, and then Manya.
So I wanted to address 2 questions. First, we were asked, so Nidhi misspoke when she was speaking. She accidentally said respiration instead of photosynthesis. We were asked, isn't respiration carbon dioxide, not oxygen that is emitted? What she meant is in photosynthesis, when plants do photosynthesis, they expel oxygen and take in CO2, is what she meant. Another question that was addressed to us is, somebody asked, so trees are also necessary to survive, which cannot be done using hydroponics. They can only be done like using soil. But in reality, so algae is actually much better at producing oxygen than trees, and its best environment is in hydroponics. So according to the government's ocean organization, The majority of this production is from oceanic plankton, drifting plants, algae, and some bacteria that can photosynthesize. One particular species, Tlocholococcus, is the smallest photosynthetic organism on Earth. But this little bacteria produces up to 20% of the oxygen in our entire biosphere. So on this, it's clear that algae is a permanent and more effective way to produce oxygen. On the other hand, the other one of trees' purposes is wood, but wood can easily be recreated in labs, which you already do. And even if you want to stay natural, bamboo is a great and strong replacement for wood, which can easily be grown in hydroponics.
Pranil, my decision about 20 years ago to not pick science and biology and go into engineering has been vindicated today. I mean, I'm not able to remember any of these respirations versus photosynthesis versus locus or something that you were struggling there. I'm glad I'm not in biology or science, man. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, next, Manya, if you guys are done, there's no more hands up here. So Manya is last. After that, maybe the judges may have some questions for you guys. Okay, I see Dhaval and Gayatri immediately raise their hand. So it's Manya, Dhaval, and Gayatri now, guys.
So we just wanted to answer the question that so they said that why is soil more important than water? Because there are methods to grow plants without soil, but no methods of growing plants without water. So we know that hydroponics was one of the things that were addressed today, but we found that they don't really increase plant stability, and the point of conserving soil is to get the nutrients back and keep the soil from eroding, because that's making it that's the reason why we're not able to grow plants to purify the air and help purify water as well. And in soil, plants can remain stable easily because the medium is dense, but in media used for hydroculture, such as expanded clay pellets, plants have to establish a firm root system before completely stabilizing. So it's just going to cause more problems if we don't really conserve the soil first and don't plant more plants so that they're yeah.
Thank you, Banya. Dhaval.
All right. So we had a question about why how hydroponics is a complex process, which would not make sense everywhere. So our response is that hydroponics is actually a much more efficient method of farming than standard farming. And it can also occur in multi-layered buildings, meaning it would take less land resources as well. So instead of a 10-acre farm, one large building might be able to produce the same amount of food. Hydroponics can also reduce transportation costs, as these goods can be produced in urban areas and buildings instead of being produced in rural areas and being shipped to the urban cities. And while initially it may cost more to start up, it will quickly make up for this as the harvest will be much more efficient and much safer.
Dhaval, before we move to next, Gayatri, which would be you, I have a question here from Akshay Rao, our audience. Question to all three teams. Which of these three pollutions are irreversible? And shouldn't the most difficult to reverse be the priority? Very good, excellent question. Gayatri, you can go next. After that, I think we lost Gayatri, I don't know. Gayatri, if you're on, you can go next, or we'll go ahead with Vedika and Sachita after that. Vedika, you can go ahead.
Somebody said that 3% of the water is fresh, not 1, but I said 1% is fresh water and it's accessible to humans because 2 out of the 3% is trapped in ice and therefore not accessible.
All right, that was quick. Thank you, Vedika. So there is a question for Dhaval. Hydroponics does not feed animals in the food chain. Okay, Dhaval, you can choose to answer now or take your time and answer later. Either way is fine. Sachita, you're next.
So there was a question that said, you talk about soil on the general scale. The topic of the debate focus on the United States. What are the statistics relating to the United States? So I included the European Commission because the United States has like a large impact on the world. So if we do invest in the soil, it's gonna travel elsewhere and start impacting the world. But there are statistics on the United States soil. One of them is that over time, the damage has built up. More than 50% of the America's topsoil has eroded away. In areas of the Southeast, the country's original breadbasket, it's almost all gone. There are also other articles that back up with the statistics if anyone wants them.
Next one, I think I saw Arushi Ritvik. Arushi Ritvik, and then Gayatri, if you're ready, you can go, but I think the screen is frozen, so I'm not sure if you're ready to answer. So either way, we'll go ahead with the Arushi and Ritvik now.
Okay, first let me put out that I'm not here to answer a question. I just want to add some points. So air is more important than water. So I'm hearing a lot of why water can like create the function, like the how soil functions and stuff. And I'm hearing a lot of why soil is needed for water, but air is needed for both of them. For example, without the element of oxygen, there is no water. So you need oxygen in order for the hydrogen to bind to the oxygen and turn being water. And also regarding photosynthesis, which I mentioned earlier, air is also needed for plants to grow and function, and air is needed for water to be drinkable. Air is needed for plants to grow. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Ritvik and then Dhaval.
So there was one question that says photosynthesis wouldn't take place without water. Photosynthesis produces oxygen, but without water, the oxygen wouldn't be produced. And my rebuttal to that would be there are plants such as cacti in the deserts that still grow with very little water, and they just use sand and soil, and where rain is really rare in the deserts. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm just responding to the question about how hydroponics doesn't feed animals. All three of these topics, soil, air, and water, are all extremely important. But if the United States the government has to decide on choosing one, water is the most important for human survival. So although hydroponics cannot really help the animals out in the wild, that's not really a topic for this debate.
Manya, your hand's up. You want to go?
So answering the question that was in the chat by about the question to all the three teams, I think it's hard to know which is the least reversible because all three of these are interdependent, but I think the priority should be rather whichever can help conserve all the three pollutions at once, because they're all interdependent, but conserving soil first can help conserve the other two indirectly, which is why I think that should be the priority.
Got it. So I think Sana has a question from the audience that she wants to answer. Sana, if you're ready, you can go ahead now, or if you need a minute to prepare, we will circle back. Right now, Arushi has her hand up. She can go ahead as well.
Hi, so I noticed earlier that Gautam was talking about transportation and how people like how water transportation is less expensive than air transportation. But water transportation is an inefficient means of transportation as a result of geographical complications, including the river's current, as well as the lack of speed. And the use of air transportation, for example, like airplanes, jets, helicopters, it's more reliable and it's being preferred over water for shipping and commercial interests. And cruises also tend to have a negative environmental impact than the commercial airlines through dangerous emissions being produced and etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Arushi. There is a question from audience to, I guess, to all of you guys. All of them spoke about air, water, and soil. I did not see any comments on the impact of heat temperature on these and its long-term impact to environments. Any thoughts? Okay, that's a good question. We'll move ahead with, I think I saw, okay, Sana, you are ahead in the queue. Please go ahead.
This is about the question about which of the three resources are irreversible about the pollutions. So water is known to be a limited resource. Air comes, it's a constant cycle between the plants and the humans, and we can always somehow figure out a way to bring our world back into balance in terms of air. And in soil, that's a matter of erosion, which is a natural process. But water, once we lose it, it's gone. And there's really not an easy way, if it's even possible, to bring it back, which is why we need to set our priority and our attention to water.
Thank you, Sana. Nice answer there. Next is Varun, Gautam, Kavya, and Pranil in this order, please. Varun, Gautam, Kavya, Pranil. Remember, I won't be able to remember, that's why.
Okay, so about a question, it was supposed to be for Gayatri. How was the birth of children and deaths of premature babies connected to air pollution? Because it could also be the way they were born or some other health problem. So I was gonna say, if it is through the air pollution, it must have gone through the mother's body into the fetus. As such, the baby couldn't handle it and it would die, or have some other birth defect.
Okay, thank you. So I told you the order, guys. Please go ahead next. Was it Gautam who's going next? Yeah.
So responding to what Arushi said, air transportation causes just as much pollution or even more pollution than water transportation. And water transportation, you can, like, the ships and all can carry more imports than air transportation can. It would take more flights to transport what is needed than if you use water.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Before we go to next, Jai Ram uncle says, amazing arguments. Though we know we need all the three and they depend on each other, you guys are doing great in defending your zone. Excellent job there. Okay, next is Kavya and then Pranil. We have less than 10 minutes left in our rebuttal section. After that, Sandeep uncle will take over and he'll keep you guys busy for quick 15 minutes. And judges will have the time to collect the data and announce the results after that. Okay, Kavya and Pranil now, please.
So one question posed from the audience was that it regarded long-term environmental effects. So a few long-term environmental effects of air pollution is the fueling of climate change, depletion of the ozone layer, increased levels of nitrogen oxide entering aquatic systems, extensive haze, and tons more. So all of these long-term environmental effects are why the natural resource air should be focused on.
All right, Pranil, you next.
So I want to address the question on conservation starts with conversation. Which of these quintessential resources are in most conversations around the world today? So water and water pollution has many active organizations which talk about such matters. Chances are you've heard about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. That's because it matters so much. It's affecting so many different types of life. It's affecting how humans live on so many different levels that it's crucial that we fix it along with all the other problems with water. Additionally, there's an organization known as the Ocean Cleanup. It's gotten a lot of popularity recently. It takes nets and it tries to collect plastic from the ocean, but it's by far one of the most popular and well-known cleanup organizations. Finally, one that had a lot of talk last year, right, by the YouTuber Mr. Beast. He raised $30 million for water pollution and trying to solve water pollution. So, that really changed a lot, but also it shows how much people care about the water and how much it matters that people are willing to donate over $30 million in order to make it better. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Pranil. Guys, we have just about 5 minutes. We're heading to the conclusion of rebuttal section. So I will allow one speaker from each team to make either answer the questions or make your last stand. Sachita, Varsha, and Misha, Gautam, I see your hands. Please, if you're in the same team, drop the hands. But I need one from each team to go now. Okay, so I see Varsha, Misha, and Gautam. Are you guys all from different team? I don't have the list with me. Okay, Varsha, we'll start with you, please.
Okay, I just wanted to add that just another point. ಮಳೆ ಇಲ್ಲದ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಗುಣ ಮತ್ತೆ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ, ಮಣ್ಣು ಮರುಭೂಮಿ ಆಗಿ ಉಪಯೋಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರೆ ವಾಯು ಶಕ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ಈ ತರ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಾಯು ಶಕ್ತಿ ಸೌರ ಶಕ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ವಾಯು ಶಕ್ತಿಗೆ ಮಿತಿಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲ. So this pretty much means that wind energy is sustainable because it is dependent on solar energy, which is a constant. But for soil, it erodes, and once soil erosion occurs, it is pretty much deemed ineffective.
Okay, thank you, Varsha. Misha?
So we got the questions. Water is required for healthy soil, and if we don't have clean water, how would we conserve soil? So, and we also got the question, fertile soil depends on water, so without clean water in the soil wouldn't produce many crops, so shouldn't water be preserved? So I'm going to answer both these questions because they have similar answers. So while this is true, water would also be useless. Once rain falls from the sky, it will also be polluted, and the water won't be able to, the soil won't be able to filter it out.
Okay, thank you, Misha. Gautam?
So just towards air, if you don't have water in the air, then the air is considered dry air. It is a type of air that has, like, as I said, no water in it, and it's harmful to our respiratory system, and it's a little harmful to also plants. Towards soil, without water, which creates soil, there'll be no soil without water, because rocks and all create soil through erosion and all.
Okay. All right, guys, thank you very much. With that, we conclude our rebuttal time. I'll now hand it over to Sandeep, and I will be with the judges, if they have any questions to collect the data askers. So Sandeep, it's over to you now. We'll be back shortly.
Thanks, Sriram. It was a wonderful job by all the participants, and I do want to say this quote: "The earth is a fine place and worth fighting for," says Ernest Hemingway. And today, all our Namma Kannada Kuttada Makkalu stood their ground, fought for the team that they stood for, and made us all proud. So. And I know, Sudarshan, you have been following the comments, and the comments have been similarly sort of supporting our youth. If you want to just highlight some of the comments or chats, that would be wonderful, Sudarshan.
ಹೌದು ತುಂಬಾ ಕಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದಾವೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. Everyone is so proud of kind of performance that the kids have put together today. Some of the comments, actually I have passed on most of the comments to Sriram already. He went through them already. So just stuff like what they are saying is kids have done a lot of research, and they are putting forward a lot of arguments, counter arguments, and at the same time, everyone saying that we need all three elements. it's difficult to justify supporting one element and not argue for the other elements. It's impossible. But even then, everyone is standing their ground and arguing for the element that they are representing.
It
Great
was
job,
a
everyone.
fair fight. It was an equal fight by all the three teams, and I felt it was a wonderful experience. When the time hogidu gotte agilla nanagantu, and while the judges and Sriram are busy, I thought we will move on to do some quick other acknowledgements. We will definitely acknowledge the questions. One question which we asked, yes, India is the country where the wettest place on earth is, and Meghalaya is the state. And some of you, I saw some quick comments made by Vinay, Usha, and some other participants, viewers. Chirampunji inta ಕೆಲವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಕೆಲವರು Massinram andru, and both answers are correct because they are both villages right next to each other in Meghalaya, and they apparently have a constant fight between the two villages as to which one is the most wettest anta. So good responses. ಕೆಲವು questions ಇದೆ for the audience and for the participants. Now that you're all done with your debate, you can relax and participate in these questions, and if you have questions you can ask them as well. But before we move on to that, I do want to thank the sponsor for the event. Jyotsna Ketar has been very kind and generous in supporting our youths today, and from that gesture we will be rewarding our youths with the prize money and the participant money as well, as a small gesture for all the wonderful work that you have done in this many weeks of preparation. Maklo, they had their own groups. They were constantly interacting and making their case for today. So I don't want to take too much time to introduce our sponsor, but I will ask Srinivas to kindly post a small video of our sponsor, which will follow. And once the video is done, we will come back to discuss. Okay? Thanks, Srinivas.
Hey, everybody. My name is Jyotsna, and my students like to call me Coach Joe. I'm an independent educational consultant and a college counselor. Along with that, I'm also the CEO of Gifted Gabber. You heard it right, Gift of the Gab. And my company aims at helping teens master communication. And guess what our tagline is? To make communication your superpower. Yeah, there are a lot of people who sort of associate the name of the company to the greatest villain of all times. I mean, if you were born in the 70s, you'd be familiar with Gabbar Singh. Let me talk to you about my passion. I was in the IT industry in the corporate world for over 20 years, and I never felt fulfilled. And now, after doing so many assessment tests, I figured out what my strength was, which is communicating and coaching others. So I gave up my corporate job basically to help teens reach their maximum potential. I use this philosophy and refer all my students as Arjunas, right? Greatest warriors. Every single teen or a child has a unique talent in them. And I feel like it is my mission or my purpose to help them discover their strengths and weaknesses and to reach their maximum potential. Now, for the philosophy, my philosophy, which I share with every single student that I coach or counsel, is that you need to own your life, or you need to be the CEO of your life. The way you run your life is like a CEO runs their corporation, right? So what role do your parents have in your lives? They are like the board of directors. They are the CFOs. They sometimes have to chauffeur you around, but you make the executive decisions in your life. Got it? So like do all your activities from the point of view as to how a CEO thinks, right? Is this going to be productive for me? Is my company going to grow? Am I going to be able to pay my employees? So there are so many questions that arise. But oftentimes I have seen teens or the members of the Gen Z population go around as if they are overgrown children in a stroller, right? Imagine that thought where a parent is taking the stroller around an overgrown child, prompting them to finish their homework, study for their tests, get ready for school, and everything. Stop being that. Stop being that overgrown child on the stroller and take control of your life and be the CEO. The most successful person is the one who has a burning ambition in their gut. Got it? So that is what I tell my students. Assume the role of a CEO of your lives. Take back the reins of your lives and lead. You decide what you want to do, and beautiful things happen when you dream and look forward for your future. Let's talk about you guys. It's wonderful that you've taken the time to hone your skills, to participate in this debate and enhance your communication skills. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to communicate your thoughts to others, right? So it's a constant learning process that you imbibe into, and you're not ever born a leader. Leadership skills, communication skills are all acquired during the course of our journey in this life. And also, I want to bust a myth that a lot of people tell that, hey, you need to be an extrovert to be an excellent communicator. You're wrong. Introverts communicate very well as well. You understand that introverts just need about 3 seconds to process information, as against extroverts, people like me, who hardly have patience for people around them. But there are extremely good introverts who have mastered communication skills. There, Mahatma Gandhi was an introvert. Barack Obama was an introvert. Nelson Mandela was an introvert. So there are different aspects of communication that you need to master. And one of the things that you need to master as well is the body language, right? Mirroring others, right? Making instant connections. These are some of the aspects of communication skills that you need to master in order to be successful. I'm going to give you an anecdote where a student made a massive impact on a specific person. So I actually coached this kid to prepare for the Harvard interview. So basically, when you're applying for Harvard undergrad, there is an interview segment where basically an alumni from the university interviews you to see if you're a right fit for that specific university. So this student was very diligent in learning what to communicate, how to dress up. So he wore his best suit. He went to Starbucks 10 minutes early and smashed his interview. Did it so well, right? With this specific person who was the alumni of Harvard. Okay, I'm getting there. He did not get into Harvard, okay? But that's not what the story is about. The person who interviewed him was actually a owner of a hedge fund, and he was so impressed with this young gentleman that he said, hey, so what if you didn't get into Harvard? Would you like to intern in my company and learn about hedge funds? This young boy hit the jackpot. He's like, of course, I would love to be an intern and learn all about the financial market. So he went ahead, accepted the internship. He learned a lot. He came back and told me, Coach Joe, I learned so much about Disney. I had to go over their balance sheet and I learned about cryptocurrency and everything. So you see, this impact of communication is so very important in any aspect of life, right? Build connections, right? Have your elevator pitch ready and be ready to speak to anybody. I have this funny exercise where I tell people, oh, you're going up the elevator and Elon Musk is in it. What are you going to tell them in 2 minutes? So always have a tiny pitch ready for yourself. It really helps in building connections and contacts, which is always going to stay with you. Let's talk about strengths. Oftentimes, we are always running after trying to mold ourselves to a specific situation. But this is what I tell my students. Step back and understand your blueprint. What are your strengths and weaknesses? I want you guys to take some time to figure that out. There are a lot of assessment tests that are out there. And if you're curious about it, you can reach out to me. Right? So that is how it all went about. If you don't align what you're doing with your strengths, you're never going to be fulfilled. And that's exactly what happened with me. I was born and raised in Tumkur, and my brother just went to the library and got me an application form, and I landed in REC Calicut. I did very well there. I was a semester topper, and I went ahead with a corporate career. I just went about doing everything because I wasn't clear about what is it that I wanted to do, and I just did about everything. I did sales, I did IT consulting, but I was never fulfilled, right? And 20 years went by. And finally, things changed around. When my son was 15 and was struggling to figure out what he wanted to do, I hired a success coach for him. I flew him over to San Diego to meet with this coach, and I saw a transformation. I'm like, if a 15-year-old can get transformed, why not me? So I went ahead and signed up for success coaching, and that's when I figured out what my passion, purpose, and strength is, right? It is communication and coaching, counseling, mentoring, and guiding teens. Once I figured that out, that was it. I jumped off the plane without even checking if I had my safety gear on and quit my corporate job to start this company, Gifted Gabber. And that was the best decision ever. I want to share my success journey with you. How I've made communication as the cornerstone for success. The way I communicate with parents, the way I communicate and coach my students, the way I communicate with their teachers and administrators, and the way I communicate on social media, right? So I can't emphasize enough how mastering communication is extremely important in life. And I want to share my successes with you, right? My journey has led to college counseling, where I found the most success. And my students made me proud, immensely proud. More than 15 of them got multiple scholarship offers from colleges. My students typically get admitted to 90% of the colleges, and they got acceptances for over 110 colleges. Yay! And not only that, collectively, they won over 2 million in scholarships. And it's my mission to help parents understand the complicated process of the college admissions in the States. Trust me, it's deliberately made to be very complicated. And also how to get the best scholarships for your child, right? So I have a new logo now, Make America Pay for Your College. So I'm just going to end with a note saying, you all are wonderful. You all are winners in my books, and never be afraid to try something new and be afraid of failure. So go and rock on. Bye now.
Thank you, Jyotsna. That was wonderful. And not just Namma youths, we also have plenty to learn from all your comments out there. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ದಿನ ಯುಗಾದಿ ದಿನ ನಮ್ಮ ಡಿಬೇಟ್ went really well, alva Sudarshan, and ನಮ್ಮ youth activities started off with a nice boost by all these kids.
Yeah, it's better than expected. I was not expecting this kind of performance, but they they did really well. It was like, they exceeded my expectations.
I had faith in them. I have been listening to all those group discussions over the last 6 weeks. They were phenomenally organized. I'm very impressed how it was not like they made the group. No, this was random set of kids coming together. And ಈ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೂ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. So through virtual media ದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು they have done such an awesome job. I just had, since we are in April, I just wanted to ask, when is the Earth Day celebrated? And if the audience know the answer, you can say it. And if any of the youth silly know why or who created the Earth Day, please feel free to just chime in and answer as well, while the audience are answering. Oh, there goes. I think Karun has an answer.
I figured out who created Earth Day. It was Senator Gaylord Nelson.
Yeah, he was from Wisconsin, and he worked with a young activist who was a youth activist, Dennis Hayes, and between them they chose the spring break and final exams. That's why the April 22nd has to get the maximum impact of the youth in these movement to save the earth. So youth make a very big impact on what the future holds. So and that's the reason why we have it on in April. Sudarshan and Srinivas, ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿ, if Sriram is ready, and or if the judges are still sweating out to decide whom to
Sandeep,
ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Yes, ಬನ್ನಿ.
And like you rightly guessed, judges had a little bit of sweating there. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ disagreements ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಇತ್ತು, because it was so close. All three teams did excellent job. Now, I don't want to take the limelight away from judges. It's over to them. Judges, you guys are on. Quickly, I'll just say who's gonna go first. Like, they're gonna give feedback as well. Himavat, Pranav, Anup, Bhimanna, and then Rashmi will be announcing the winner for tonight. Himavat, judges, it's all yours.
All right, yeah, so just for some clarity, each of the judges were presented with 3 people, one from each team, to give feedback to directly, and that's what we'll do now. And the 3 people that I was tasked to give feedback to were Varun, Sana, and Nandita. So let's start with Varun here. I've noted that, Varun, you've done a great job using the second person and an appeal to pathos in your argument, as well as giving some statistical arguments for the discussion. I think what we can use some more of from you is a little bit more vocal inflection and conviction. Your arguments had great structure, but bringing that vocal inflection and conviction out will add to how convincing that argument is. So the second speaker is Sana. Once again, I thought Sana had a great use of appeal to the pathos. The structure of your argument that was presented through the 2 minutes was good as well. And you had a great use of vocal inflection, in my opinion. And finally, the speaker that I want to discuss is Nandita. You were a concluding speaker for your team. I thought the summary that you made of the points by your team through the law of threes was good, and you had good conviction in the arguments given. I want to give some feedback in terms of areas of improvement for all of the 3 team members that I spoke about. Number 1, the Kannada that you guys used was great. It was good to see. I want to see you guys spend a little bit more time working on the pronunciation of the Kannada and being confident in how you pronounce that Kannada. We're all here to celebrate Kannada. I know we're speaking English right now, but that's important. The second thing is we want to see in the future that you anticipate some of the arguments that might be made against the points that you're providing in your discussion. anticipate those and try to rebut them in your argument itself. That makes it difficult for us to even say anything against you. And finally, train yourselves off the index cards or the computer. In the future, you're not going to have a chance to be standing there making a presentation, reading off the index cards or reading off the computer. Even on Zoom, we're going to notice. So train yourselves to really understand the topic and not necessarily have a script. And by understanding that topic, you're going to be able to speak all that more confidently about it. All right, I'm going to hand it to Pranav.
Thank you, Himad. So the participants that I had to judge was, I'll start with Vedika. And for the strengths for her, I noticed that she had really good, clear points, and she used statistics that I found were relevant to kind of her stance, and that really helped to strengthen her argument. Some of the things that I think that she can improve on would be if she spoke a bit louder, it will show more confidence and emotion in the statements that you're making, so as to show why you really are passionate about your specific stance. And also if you provide a closing remark at the end of your statements, that will kind of help to keep the flow of the whole debate running in a smooth fashion. Next, I'll move to Arnav, and I'll say strengths were that he spoke very clearly and also had good support on his thoughts and kind of used good evidence to back up his claims. The only thing that I'd say is that, like Himawat mentioned, sometimes we should be prepared for the refutation and show that other resources will be also equally important. So if you have more support on the refuting the other points, that will always help enhance your presentation. And then finally, I'll move to Gayatri, who was the last one. And I really liked how she gave different pauses with her statements and kind of was very clear with her speech and presentation, as that helps to flow the arguments and also help to generally provide a good closing for the entire team's statements. The only thing is, again, kind of with refutation, that some of the people that argued back were showing that air may not have been the most useful resource, and the other resources could be equally or more necessary as well. So just same kind of thing, refutation, and also, as Himawat mentioned, like be prepared to kind of speak on the fly and not necessarily fully reading off any kind of index card. That will always help to enhance your presentation overall. So thank you. I'll pass it to Anup.
Hi. Yeah, so I'll start with Manya. So yeah, I think you did a good job, both just with the opening, like very clear opening, and also during the rebuttal. I liked the point you made about soil microbes absorbing air pollution, just because it sort of addresses, like you're on the soil team, but you're addressing that it's important to conserve air and how like conserving soil helps conserve air. So that I thought that was good. In terms of areas of improvement, yeah, so during the rebuttal, you made a point about like hydroponics and how you sort of trailed off at the end talking about how like it doesn't address the problem of plants establishing firm roots, and that causes more problems, and it was hard to tell what that means. I'd say I haven't taken biology for a while. For, you know, when you're explaining things like that, it doesn't hurt to give like more details and explain sort of what the problems are, rather than saying like, you know, this causes more problems. But yeah, so next I'll go to Karun. Yeah, so you had lots of statistics and you know, science in your arguments. I thought that was good. I didn't you know, I honestly didn't note anything really to improve, and I'm sure there was something, but I think he just did a really good job. And then finally I'll have Double. Yeah, so I think you made some really good, well, yeah, you were one of the closing speakers, I think, and then you know, closed it off really cleanly. You made some good points about how the government can help. That's because, you know, there's like, I think it's, you know, good to talk about what the government can do, along with just how it's important to conserve water. In terms of areas of improvement, you did make a point about like, how all life needs water, and how when we go to other planets, like we look for water because that indicates life. That is, you know, it's all life needs water, but all humans need air, right? So these are kind of more poetic arguments than factual ones. So I don't know, that seemed like a bit of filler, and I thought it didn't hurt, but yeah, it's more poetic than factual, but it was a cool point. All right, I think we're going to give him a minute.
Yeah. Anup, are we going to the next judge?
Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay. Next is, I think, Bhimarna. Bhimarna, you're on mute.
Yeah, I must congratulate all the participants and all the three teams. You all took a good effort in doing research and making an effort to present and participate in this debate. I know it's not easy to present in the Zoom, but you definitely made an effort. And I have been assigned 3 speakers, that is Nidhi, Kavya, and Sachita. So a few points. For Nidhi, you had a great intro and you highlighted key points and arguments. There are a few points to improve. For some reason, your video was shaky. Maybe you were moving around. You have to make sure that in this kind of debate, it is very important that we are kept stable. Otherwise, it is a distraction. And also, we can try to speak a little slowly, even though we are given only 3 minutes, 2 minutes, but still to pass on the message to the judges or the viewers, it helps. And lastly, what you could do, participate a little more in the rebuttal. I see there is a great enthusiasm in the rebuttal that really brings up your strengths in the arguments. Otherwise, you have connected and you had a great points. Okay? So now moving on to Sachita, you had very clear presentation, put forward great points, and you connected to the quotes from Bharata or India. And those are all valuable points. As you know, some participant missed that benefit of connecting to our heritage. Of course, everybody tried to Kannada, but some people just missed. So let us not miss that. We are in Earth, which is connected to Bharata. Even though we are in America, so it's good to connect. Then finally to Kavya. You also had a very clear presentation, no doubt about that, with a lot of great points, and you participated very well in the rebuttal. Once again, that's valuable in this kind of debate because it shows that you are in there when you participate in the rebuttal. So finally, as an improvement for all of you, again, try to read more about your own heritage and how it is applicable to the current problems of environment, earth, air, water. The last thing I can say that a general suggestion for all the debaters, there are 2 suggestions. For all the debaters, you probably know that our greatest guru, Sri Adi Shankaracharya, was the greatest debater. So try to look up on what topic he debated and what kind of debates he did. There is some learning there. Secondly, since you already have participated in Kannada Kota debates, try to extend it to your school. Try to participate in the school debate, join the debate club. If there is no debate club in your class, try to initiate that by getting help from the like-minded friends. So with that, I will hand over to Rashmi for the next big event.
Most important announcement is coming through Rashmi. And Rashmi, make sure everybody is unmuted when you announce the winner, right? And we want everyone to to applaud and make some noise for the winners, whoever the victors are, right? We are going to make noise for them. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will first give feedback to the three students that were able to do the debate, and then we'll announce the winner at the end and can bring everyone back into gallery view. So in terms of the three people that I also had Gayatri. So if anyone else for some reason did not get feedback, let us know. We can share that with you. But I would say in terms of strengths, I thought you were a really confident speaker. I think you had a really great blend of philosophy and mythology coupled with the facts and information to highlight a lot of your points. In terms of areas of improvement, I just noticed that given that you were running the closing statement, would recommend that it's more of a summary and it really encompasses the arguments of your prior teammates versus potentially like adding in additional information to really have that stronger impact. And then the next person that I had was Gautam. So in terms of feedback for you, I would say that you provided a ton of great information around the significance and relationship of water to economic vitality. There was a ton of relevant facts and figures and statistics that you shared, and I think it was super comprehensive. In terms of areas of improvement, and I think this feedback has been brought up before, it did sound a bit like you were reading off of a script or had a bit of like a robotic tone to it. So would just encourage you to kind of step away from that. And then also in terms of the rebuttal, like being, I think this was mentioned before too, but kind of being a little bit more proactive and thoughtful in terms of what that response looks like and kind of anticipating that in terms of a question would have been, I think, like an area of improvement for you. And then lastly, for Rithvik, I would say that you had a ton of great information about photosynthesis, all the significance for the reason to conserve soil and the reason to invest in it. I think it sounds like you went super, super deep into that topic and really researched it and were able to present that really well. So I thought that was a great strength of yours. In terms of areas of improvement, I would also say like almost creating a little bit more of like a thesis for yourself so that you're guiding the points in your portion of the debate. I thought the structure was a little bit scattered, even though you had a ton of great information in there. So that would be like my one big area of improvement. Awesome. So I think those were the three students that I had in terms of providing feedback. So if we can all go back into gallery view, we'll announce the winner.
And rolls on, Rashmi, go for it.
Awesome. All right. And so in terms of the winner, I know it was really, really close, and I think everyone has iterated this. All of you did such a phenomenal job. I'm personally super impressed. I think you've all taught everyone here a thing or two and made us more inquisitive about this space. And we mentioned that it was a really, really close one with this one, but the winner of this debate is Team Bhumi, so the soil team. So fantastic job to that team, but also an amazing job to everyone who participated.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Rashmi and Team Bhumi. You did great, and actually all of you guys did great. Like Rashmi mentioned, it was so close. We had to anyway, announce one winner, right? I mean, not all can be winners. So anyway, thank you very much. With that, my job is done, guys. I'm gonna have to have dinner. It's 8:15 already. I'm too hungry for tonight. And yeah, I'll hand it over back to our gracious hosts, Sandeep and Sudarshan. Guys, take it away.
Thank you, Sriram. Thank you
Sriram.
for giving this opportunity for Namdu youths, and thank you all the judges. Howdu ಇವತ್ತೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಯುಗಾದಿ ಹಬ್ಬದ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ debate only made you hungry for more with all this information, but your own kitchens will have to cook the ಊಟದ ಹಬ್ಬ. So enjoy, and thank you all the judges. Thank you, Sriram, and I'll pass it on to Sudarshan to conclude the debate event.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Sriram, for doing all the things that you did to moderate this debate. It was a great experience for me personally. Even though we have only one winner, but all the participants did excellent job. Kudos to you guys. You spent a lot of time researching the topic, coming up with arguments, evidences, statistics, and also connecting back to India and Kannada language. awesome job, right? So, I would like to thank, first of all, the participants and excellent job that they did, along with the mentors. We had 3 mentors working with the teams. We had Jai Ram, Sachin Upadhyay, and Pratibha Tantri. So they worked with individual teams, brought together those teams and helped them organize and help in whichever way teams wanted them to help with. So thank you, Jairam, Sachin, and Pratibha for mentoring and working with the teams. So we had excellent judges today. It was a difficult task, no doubt. Paying attention to every argument and every point being made by every a candidate here, our participant, and not only just listening, you got to tabulate how well they are doing with various scales that our moderator Sriram had put together, and measuring as at the same time following the debate and the statistics, validating the points being made, and also making sure whether they are hitting all the points that were previously established by the moderator. So it was not a easy job, and along with tabulating the scores, you provided valuable feedback, right? Just let's face it, the youths that are debating now, they are still in middle school, high school. There is a lot of learning to do, and some of the inputs that you gave were very, very valuable in developing their skills and debating skills and everything else for that matter, right? That those are things are going to be very, very valuable for them. And Bhimanna, you help them with a few more things, looking at Adi Shankaracharya and his philosophy and the kind of arguments that he put forward long time ago. They are still relevant, and also connecting to India and the philosophy and the mythology and all those things. Those are all really important for our kids to understand. Just not only what they are learning now in this country, and also understand history of India and kind of contributions that India has made to the society in general. And Himawat, Rashmi, Anup, and Pranav, you also help kids learn some of the new things that they were not hitting in terms of the debate structure. Thank you, and your job was not easy. And even though we had 3 teams, we could pick only one as the winner. I'm sure it was a difficult task. Thank you for being part of this and helping us adjudicating the event here. And moderator Sriram, I cannot say enough about you. You introduced debate to NKK. This is the only second year that we are doing, and you provided the structure for coming together, forming the teams, and then tabulating the score, everything, right? Including educating the judges about criteria to be used for evaluating the candidates. So I can easily say that without you it was going to be impossible to conduct these debates. Thank you very much. Sandeep, you want to say anything else about Sriram?
Sudarshan?
No. He will mute me if he can mute the mic.
Please.
But no, thanks. But yeah, Ella, it is no. We'll continue.
Okay,
Sudarshan, you
sounds
can
good.
continue.
Sounds good. Yeah, I wanted to see if you want to say anything else. I know he was feeling shy already, but so this is a virtual event. We all understand we have gone through last 2 years, and And without our, Srinivas Vasamane, it was going to be highly impossible, right, to put together a Zoom session with all these people, with various tiles, full of tiles full of screen, and then at the same time, streaming it on without his skills and knowledge around navigating this technology, it was going to be highly impossible, right, to conduct this and stream this, and also do various things that we are able to do today with this session.
Yeah, I mean, Sudarshan, I just want to chime in. This was a great debate, very informative. Actually, I learned quite a bit listening to the debate. Thank you, all of you, for doing tremendous research. Very informative. It was a very, rigorous and vibrant debate, and that's what we want. And I'm glad to see our erstwhile youth members of Navodaya Kannada Kota. They're all adult now. Himavat, Rashmi, Pranam.
One of the young adults, Himavat, wants to come back and just, I think,
yes.
some of the youth. So let's give him an opportunity.
Correct. Yeah, and Bhimana, thank you so much for taking time to judge. Fantastic. Hey, Himavat, go for it.
All right. Yeah. So I think Arushi did not receive feedback. Is that correct? Can you remind me which speaker you were on what team? I think you were on team Vayu.
Yeah, that's correct.
Are you speaker 1 or speaker 5?
Speaker 1.
Okay, perfect. So I have the right person. So overall, I think opening up the debate for your team was done very effectively. You had good use of vocal inflection to sort of bring home the points raised by the team. I will say that the argumentative structure, we wanted to see more structure coming from what are the points that are going to be presented by the team. What are I know you mentioned the different speakers and what they're going to talk about, but how do those arguments flow into each other? That's going to be important to express so that us as an audience, we know what to expect coming from the upcoming speakers in your group. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, during the rebuttal phase, there was some discussion going on about the use of air shipping versus water shipping for different goods and services. This is kind of close to home for me because I'm an aerospace engineer, so I'll comment a little bit about that. I'd say we want to be careful, and this goes not just to you, Arushi, but to all the participants, especially when we're rebutting arguments. You need to be very careful about making generalizations that are starting to approach the idea of a sweeping generalization. It's very easy to make a generalization, especially when you feel passionate about your topic, to say, oh yes, air is definitely more important than water, and we need to conserve air. But there's so many aspects that go into the just sort of like what is better in terms of air versus water shipping. I think one of the other students was able to rebut that point discussed. So sorry to pick on you, Arushi, for this point, but this doesn't go against that at all. Just you guys got to be really mindful about those generalizations. If you're going to bring up a point that's more general, you have to be ready to rebut it or have it be a point of contention. So there we go. That's it.
Thank you, Himavat. That's great. I have a couple more things to say before we wind this up. Audience, they were really engaged. There were quite a few comments, and I have passed on all the comments here in the Zoom session. But if you get a chance, go back to YouTube streaming and take a look at the commentary. They have provided excellent commentary over there for all you to see, and a lot of encouragement as well. Thank you, audience, for being sharing your feedback and comments and also questions. Right, we asked some of those questions to our youth, and they responded as well to some of the questions. Thank you for being here and supporting our youth. And last but not the least, our NKK president, Ranjan Hegde. Thank you for providing this opportunity for our youth to shine here. Essentially, this is one of the event that they showed interest. as part of the feedback that we were gathering from last year, along with volunteering. So volunteering sessions are coming up, but thank you for giving us this opportunity to bring this program to NKK. With that, I'll hand it to Ranjan, I guess. Sandeep, do you have anything else to say?
Ranjan will conclude. Thanks, Sudarshan.
Hey,
thank you.
Hey, thank you. What an evening, and what a riveting program. Youth presented amazing stats and amazing facts. I think we all learned something today, and great research and great questions from our youth and our audience. Thank you so much. I'm sure our youth will immensely benefit from this experience, and also invaluable feedback from our judges. ಎಲ್ಲ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೆಂಟಿಗೂ NKK ಸಮಿತಿಯ ಸದಸ್ಯರಿಗೂ ಪೋಷಕರಿಗೂ ಪ್ರೇಕ್ಷಕರಿಗೂ ಮಾಡರೇಟರ್ ಜಡ್ಜಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗಿಸಲು ಮತ್ತು ಯಶಸ್ವಿಯಾಗಲು ಕ್ಯಾಮರಾ ಮುಂದೆ ಮತ್ತು ಕ್ಯಾಮರಾ ಹಿಂದೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವರ ಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸರ್ Jyotsna Kedar from Gifted Gabber. The topic was so relevant. ಅವರಿಗೂ ಅನಂತ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ವಿ ರ್ಯಾಪ್ ಅಪ್, ಐ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ರಿಮೈಂಡ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್, ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲ ವೀಕ್ಷಕರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಇದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಯುಗಾದಿ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್ 23ರಂದು ಭಾರತೀಯ ಟೆಂಪಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ RSVP ಮಾಡಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲ್ಗೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ವಿನಂತಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ. ಲುಕಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಟು ಸೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಆಲ್. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಮತ್ತು ಶುಭರಾತ್ರಿ.